Welcome to the video version of my journal. I'm Steffanie Rivers. Come on into the conversation. I am multicasting on several platforms. You can find me on YouTube or Facebook Live or Twitter and even LinkedIn. So if you are joining me on whatever platform, you are welcome to chat. I'm going to put the link in the chat if you want to come up and tell me something pertaining to the topic, of course. What is the topic? Today we're talking about civil lawsuits. And if civil lawsuits, the amount of that civil lawsuit, does it indicate the value that society places on the life of a person? That's what we're going to talk about today. Have you ever had a technician to come to your house to fix something? When you allow service technicians into your home, do you assume that that person has been vetted and is trustworthy and has gone through some type of basic screening by the company that they represent? Do you supervise their work, or do you do like one of my friends? He actually prefers to not be home when the technician is there. So he allows the condo management to give access to the technician while he's not at home so they can fix it in his absence. Either way, it's a gamble when you have to take on whether it's you have an HVC unit that's broken, or whether your Wi-Fi signal isn't working, whether you have a broken window. Somebody's got to come and fix that. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. There was a recent incident where a company was found liable for something that an employee did. So that's the subject. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you are one of my subscribers, I want to thank you for your support. And if you are new to the conversation, I know you're going to like something that you see. I had to start my stream over because of a Wi-Fi issue, but I'm at a hotel, so yeah, I just have to grin and bear it. So hold on, we'll be right back after the show opener. Hi, I'm Steffanie Rivers, and I want justice. The police officers involved showed reckless disregard. Hello, and welcome again. I had to start the stream over. I was having Wi-Fi issues, something that would cause for a technician to show up if I was at home, but I'm not at home. I'm in a hotel, so I'm just going to grin and bear it for now. But a lot of us have those home warranties, and when you have a home warranty, you know that's just saying that you've partnered with a company, you've um, contracted a company that if anything happens, they'll send out a technician to fix it. And a lot of those home warranty plans um, happen where they basically freelance out the work to anybody who claims that they have the skills needed to fix the problem. So there's no telling who you're letting into your house. You just have to be, trusting that the person who's showing up saying that they are there on behalf of another company, that they are really there to do what they said they're going to do. So the truth is, though, you can't really trust anybody. And sometimes even the companies that are sending people to your home have not done the most basic pre-qualification to make sure the people that they're sending to your home are not going to do anything wrong. So that's what we're talking about today. Um, there are these days, especially after COVID, a lot of companies are short staffed and they're scraping the bottom of the barrel just to get reliable employees to do the most basic things. So hiring somebody who can put in cable or who can fix the HVAC unit, or and they might not have the best background. They're like, well, we really need somebody, so we're gonna give them a chance, not knowing that you're not knowing that you're putting your life and the safety of your family at risk by letting these people in your house. So if you've had an issue with anybody and you want to share it, I'll put the link in the chat so you can come in and share with me that information, or if you want to chat about it. But at any rate, here's what we're talking about today. Last month, a jury in a civil lawsuit in Dallas, Texas, they were ordered, uh, the jury in a civil lawsuit ordered Charter Communications. They own Spectrum TV. They ordered Charter Communications to pay $340 million to the family of a woman who was killed by the cable guy. Charter owns Spectrum um, Com- TV, and they, after a merger from Time Warner, all these companies merging, and they got different rules and regulations about how they operate. So the cable guy was there on behalf of Spectrum TV and ended up robbing and killing a woman in 2020. And he robbed her and killed her in 2019. End of 2019, he was convicted and sentenced in 2020. So according to the trial testimony, the cable guy showed up to do the work that he was supposed to do on one day. Then the next day, he came back to the woman's house, driving the company van, even though he was off duty. And he used his position as the cable guy that she saw the day before to gain access to her house. He robbed her and stabbed her with the company knife that was in the toolbox that he used to do cable. He killed her. So, what about the background checks we were talking about that employers do? At least whenever I've gone to get hired somewhere, they always say, I got to go through a background check. Now, some people don't have to go through a background check. I don't know who these people are, but at any rate, clearly there are people who need the background check. Okay. And so apparently in 2016, Charter Communications, who owns Spectrum TV, cable TV, they quit doing um, pre-employment background checks. Can you believe that? They just like let people show up and they hire you without doing any kind of background check, apparently. Because here's what they could have found out had they done a pre-qualifying background check. They would have found out that this cable guy had been charged with, or at a previous job, he had forged some paperwork, he had falsified some documents, he had harassed some of his former coworkers. They would have found that out. Now, maybe they would have found it out because had they called the employers to confirm his um, his employment, maybe all those companies said was, yeah, he started here on this date and it ended on this date. They don't necessarily tell you why the person is not there. Why do they not tell you that? Because they could be opening themselves up for a lawsuit. And a lot of companies no longer will tell you that somebody got terminated because you might feel some kind of way about that prospect if you know, well, so and so fired him. Why would I want him over here? So just a whole merry-go-round of people trying to avoid lawsuits. But at any rate, it came out during the trial that the crazy cable guy had even had complaints in his 1 year of working at Spectrum TV. He had about 3 or 4 complaints from customers about how he was acting with them. And those behavioral red flags that he had on file at Spectrum didn't keep them from sending him out on other assignments. So the jury, after he was convicted, this guy was convicted and sentenced to prison. The jury and most people who find out about the case, and you probably looking, and me, we probably would agree, yeah, in this case, the cable company has some liability, should have been more accountable to ensure that the person that they're sending out to people's homes is somebody who is not likely. You can't be sure about everybody all the time, but they're not likely to do any damage. They likely just show up and do the job. But turns out that this guy used his employment status to show up when he was there, cased the place, sized up the homeowner, came back the next day, driving a company van, even though he was off duty, and robbed her and killed her. So, how is it that a cable company can be held liable for an employee that kills somebody and is ordered to pay $340 million to the person's family? But the law enforcement officer who has complaints on his or her file and uses excessive force, and they get to hide behind qualified immunity to evade prosecution. And the agency, the police department, the sheriff's department, or whoever that they work for, that they represent, they don't get the chance to be sued either. It's the same situation, but a different job. So if you have a comment on that, let me know. Because now Walter Sutton says he had work done by a contractor that was using someone else's credentials and wound up suing him. Um, yeah, because that's what's going on these days. A lot of companies, they just don't have, I don't know why they don't vet these people. Maybe they just don't put value, and that's the a point I'm trying to make. Do they put value on as much value as they should on the customers that they have and on the lives of people? Because I didn't mention to you that I didn't show you a picture of the cable guy or the picture of the woman that he killed, but I'll tell you now, the cable guy was a black man. The woman he killed was a white woman. And if the facts were turned around the other way, if the crazy cable guy was a white dude and he killed a black woman, do you think that a jury would have awarded $340 million to a black family for the death of the murder of one of their family members? I don't think so, because the life of a black person isn't deemed as valuable as that of a white one, and that's just how it is. Now, of all the questionable shootings done by white cops and those that have been determined to be unjustifiable, it's next to impossible to get a law enforcement officer fired from the job, let alone charged with felony murder and convicted. And basically, it comes down to the value that other people place on the life of a victim. And that's the whole reason why I'm talking about this. I I agree. I'm not saying that the family should not have sued, because I think they should have sued, and I think they deserve a compensatory award. And Walter also added that qualified immunity needs to go. The police are protected enough through civil service protections. I agree, and a lot of times is also the police unions who put up such barriers in getting people, getting these crooked, liar, bully, killer cops off the streets, that it makes it next to impossible, and police departments kind of just don't have the will to fight it. I don't know why, because if it was their family member, they would want somebody to fight it. So just a few days ago, we learned that Timothy Loman had been hired at another police department that is in Pennsylvania. Despite his work history, despite the fact that he lied on his application, and despite the fact that he has had a record of using unjustified deadly force as a law enforcement officer. Now, a lot of you don't know who Timothy Loman is, or you might. Loman is the former Cleveland cop who shot Tamir Rice when Tamir was just 12 years old at the time, who was at a rec center playground and had a pellet gun or some type of toy gun that he was on the swings with. And when Timothy Loman, the cop, showed up, he showed up, drove up within 5 seconds, got out, and shot Tamir Rice. Did not do the least bit of assessing of the situation. And therein lies the problem. Had you assessed the situation, there's no assessing that you did in 5 seconds, just none at all. So Loman wasn't disciplined for shooting Tamir Rice. He wasn't even fired for shooting Tamir Rice. He was fired because he lied on his application to get the job to begin with. That's why he was fired. So Loman was supposed to start work at a new position last week, but those social media sleuths that are out there found out about his new job. And before he could start the job, he decided to not take the job because it was now getting out. This dude is back in the force. And I think this is like the second time that someone has found out that Timothy Loman, the cop that shot Tamir Rice, was trying to was on the verge of getting another law enforcement position. And so this dude, and he also, Timothy Loman, tried to sue the city of Cleveland so he could be reinstated. And so it's like, do these police departments do the least amount of screening, or do they do any background